time is it?
It is 58.
Oh, there. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now 6:58 and a quorum of members is present, so the meeting of the Board of Education of the School District of New Berlin is called to order. For those that are watching online, we're getting a little bit of a late start because we had a board work session, thank you, around our college and career readiness, which I believe will be rolled out for everyone. But Diana, can you please call the roll?
Ms. Crosby. Here. Mr. David.
Here.
Mr. Kugler.
Here.
Mr. Kurth.
Here.
Ms. Manley.
Here.
Mr. Maxey.
Here.
Mr. Nickerson.
Here. I would entertain a motion to adjourn to closed session.
Mr. President, I move to adjourn into closed session pursuant to Section 19.851C, E, and F of the Wisconsin statute to consider C, employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the Board of Education has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. E, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. And F, financial, medical, social, or personal histories or disciplinary data of specific persons, preliminary consideration of specific personnel problems, or the investigation of charges against specific persons which, if discussed in public, would likely to have a substantial adverse effect upon the reputation of any person referred to in such histories or data, or involved in such problems or investigations. The board will discuss and possibly take action on A, the approval of closed mission minutes of August 22, 2016, B, employment performance compensation matters pertaining to staff, and C, negotiation strategies.
I have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Ms. Crosby. Yes. Mr. David. Yes. Mr. Kugler. Yes. Mr. Kurth.
Yes.
Ms. Manley.
Yes.
Mr. Maxey.
Yes.
Mr. Nickerson.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. We'll be adjourning to closed session, and because we are already behind, we are going to do that as quickly as we can and return to open session.
Homeowners are doing this. Haven't missed a mortgage payment in a year? Owe less than $300,000 on your home? Don't pay another mortgage payment without learning about this refi program. Click to learn more. Brought to you by Lower Mountains.
What you doing in this place? Well, I could probably ask you the same thing. Another round, girl, what you think? If you're buying, well, you know I'll drink, so make it 7 on 7. Do you want it on the rocks? A double shot of heaven, spilling up the top, and we'll go shot for shot for shot till we forgot what we came here to forget. Ain't a clock, a tick, a time it's gonna stop. A night we won't regret. So put your drink down, throw your camera up, flip it around and snap a playback picture. I'll send it to my ex and send them both a text saying we ain't going home alone tonight. Girl, you ain't gotta go home alone tonight. Slow country from a cover band. I got you covered if you don't know how to dance, but if you want, we could grab a cab. Girl, we got all night, I got a bottomless tap, so let's go. Shot for shot for shot, till we forgot what we came here to forget. Ain't a clock, a tick, a tock, it's gonna stop. A night we won't regret. So put your drink down, throw your camera up, flip it around and snap a playback picture. I'll send it to my ex and send saying we ain't going home alone tonight. Girl, you ain't gotta go home alone tonight. It feels too good to let it in right here. I ain't going home alone, so let's not let it in. Let it in right. Girl, you're going home with me. Go shot for shot for shot till we forgot what we came here to forget. Ain't a clock, a tick, a tock that's gonna stop a night we won't regret. Put your jet down, throw your camera up, flip it around, snap a playback picture. Send it to my ex, I'll send it to my ex, and send them up a text saying we ain't going home alone tonight. But you ain't gotta, I ain't gotta go home alone tonight. I ain't going home alone tonight. But you ain't gotta, I ain't gotta go home alone tonight. If you don't let me go home alone tonight.
Renovation and new construction is underway at Acura of Brookfield. We apologize in advance for the dust, the noise, and the inconvenience. So while we're in temporary quarters and a little harder to get to, we'll make it up to you with the best deal in town during our 2016 construction sales event. All new and used cars are priced to move. Savings are plentiful, with certified pre-owned rates as low as 0.9% and attractive new car lease, finance, and cash incentives. See our extremely motivated sales team who will make your trip worthwhile. Acura of Brookfield, 191st and Blue Mound.
Hey, Pandora listener. Got 10 minutes to spend on your brain? Take a Lumosity Fit Test to challenge your memory, attention, problem solving, and more. First, you'll play 3 fun brain games to calculate your baseline scores. We'll even show you how you stack up against people worldwide. Then we'll build a cognitive training program just for you. Ready to start? Click on the banner to take your fit test or visit Lumosity.com.
I walk in on Friday nights, same old bar, same burned out lights, same people and all the same faces. So why in the hell does it feel like a different place?
Meet my friends for a girls' night out. Seems there ain't much to talk about. Same drinks that we're all raising, but all of the toast just don't feel the same.
We used to be the life of the party. We used to be the ones that they wish they were. But now it's like they don't know how to act. Maybe they're like me and they want us back. It's like there's always an empty space. Those memories that nobody can erase. Of how bright we burned, well now it hurts, but it's true. When they think of me, they think of you. They keep asking how I am, but they're really asking where you've been. I can read between all of the lines. It ain't just us missing all of the times we were the life of the party. We used to be the ones that they wish they were. But now it's like they don't know how to act. Maybe they're like me and they want us back. It's like there's always an empty space. Those memories that nobody can erase. Of how bright we burned, well now it hurts, but it's true. When they think of me, they think of you. Ain't it funny how a flame like that? We used to be the life of the party. way. We used to be the ones that they wish they were. But now it's like they don't know how to act. Maybe they like me and they want us back. It's like there's always an empty space. Those memories that nobody can erase. Look how bright we burned, well now it hurts, but it's true. When they think of me, they think of you. When they think of me, when they think of me, they think of you. You're on the couch, blowing up my phone. You don't wanna come out, but you don't wanna be alone. It don't take but two to have a little soiree. If you're in the mood, sit tight right where you are, babe. Cause I'll be at your door in 10 minutes. Whatever you got on, girl, stay in it. You ain't gotta leave the house to have a good time. I'm gonna bring the good time home to you. We'll have a house party. We don't need nobody. Turn your TV off. Break that boombox out. We'll wake up all the neighbors till the whole block hates us. And the cops show up and try to shut us down. If you're gonna be a homebody, we're gonna have a house party. If you wanna be a homebody, we're gonna have a house party. Throw me a t-shirt over the lampshade. I'll take the furniture, slide it out of the way. Shaking the floor, rattling the roof. We'll go to town right there in your living room. Let's have a house party. We don't need nobody. Turn your TV off, break that boombox out. We'll wake up all the neighbors till the whole block hates us. And the cops show up and try to shut us down. If you're gonna be a homebody, we're gonna have a house party. If you wanna be a homebody, we're gonna have a house party. So I'll be at your door in 10 minutes. Whatever you got on, baby, stay in it. You ain't gotta leave the house to have a good time. I'm gonna bring the good time home to you. We'll have a house party. We don't need nobody. Turn your TV off, break that boombox out. We'll wake up all the neighbors till the whole block hates us. And the cops show up and try to shut us down. If you're gonna be a homebody, we're gonna have a house party. If you wanna be a homebody, we're gonna have a house party. I am insensitive. I have a tendency to pay more attention to the things that I need. Sometimes I drink too much. Sometimes I test your trust. Sometimes I don't know why you stay with me. I'm hard to love, oh, I don't make it easy. Well, I couldn't do it if I stood where you stood. I'm hard to love, you say that you need me. Well, I don't deserve it, but I love that you love me good. I am a short fuse, I am a wrecking ball, crashing into your heart like I do. You're like a Sunday morning, full of grace and full of Jesus. I wish that I could be more like you. I'm hard to love, oh, I don't make it easy. Well, I couldn't do it if I stood where you stood. I'm hard to love, you say that you need me. Well, I don't deserve it, but I love that you love me good. Love me good. Girl, you've given me a million second chances, and I don't ever wanna take you for granted. I'm just a man, I'm just a man. Hard to love, oh, I don't make it easy. And I couldn't do it if I stood where you stood. I'm hard to love, and you say that you need me. I don't deserve it, but that you love me. Don't make it easy. Well, I couldn't do it if I stood where you stood. I'm hard to love, you say that you need me. Well, I don't deserve it, but I love that you love me good. You love me good. Love me good.
On a boombox, baby, about to get a little boondock lazy.
Big stars breaking out through the indigo. Chevy wind coming in stereo. Tail lights disappearing about a mile or so down the county road. Phone blowing up where you is. Baby saying, baby, let's do this. Rocket in a bottle with a fuse lit. About to lift it off, I'm about to twist it off. Lime on the river, that Dixie silver smoke it up, I fade out 4x4. Girls heading off to the river, yeah, Victoria's Secret ain't a secret no more. I brought the songs and who brought the party on. They want a way to do it upright. snow in July. Sunset, Riverside, four-wheel drives and a tail light. Circle, roll down the windows, turn it on up. Pour a little Crown in a Dixie cup. Get the party started. Girl, you make my speakers go boom, boom. Dancing on the tailgate in the full moon. That kind of thing makes a man go You're looking so good in what's left of those blue jeans. Drip of honey on the money maker, gotta be the best buzz I'm ever gonna find. Hey, I'm a little drunk on you and high on summertime. If you ain't a 10, you're a 9.9. Tipping and spilling that homemade wine on your tied-up t-shirt. Every little kiss is driving me wild. Throwing little cherry bombs into my fire. Good God almighty. Girl, you make my speakers go boom, boom. Dancing on the tailgate in the full moon. That kind of thing makes a man go You're looking so good in what's left of those blue jeans. Drip of honey on the money maker, gotta be the best buzz I'm ever gonna find. Hey, I'm a little drunk on you and high on summertime. Let's slip on out where it's a little bit darker. And when it gets a little bit hotter, we'll take it off on out in the water. Girl, you make my speakers go boom, boom. Dancing on the tailgate in the full moon. That kind of thing makes a man go You're looking so good in what's left of those blue jeans. Drip of honey on the money maker, gotta be the best buzz I'm ever gonna find. Hey, I'm a little drunk on you and high on summertime. Yeah, I'm a little drunk on you.
Do you have knee or back pain? If you have Medicare or private insurance, we have great news. You may qualify right now to get a pain-relieving knee or back brace at little or no cost to you. I've used them. They work. Call the Pain Relief Hotline right now for free information.
800-223-4979. 800-223-4979. That's 800-223-4979.
Brilliant. My favorite tailgate foods, now available at Perkins. Just gotta decide between the slow-cooked gridiron ribs and the game day Gouda burger, or maybe the option griddle platter. I think the only thing to do here is go for two.
Come to Perkins now for new gridiron grates, or score a great price on one of our great plates items from $4 to $8. It all comes together at Perkins.
I knew the minute that I picked you up, it was gonna be a wild ride. You kissed me like you couldn't get enough, barely made it out of your drive. Burn a little rubber at the red light, got a little warning from the blue lights. It's only going on 9 o'clock, but feels more like midnight. We ain't even turned up the radio. Ain't been 2 miles down the road. The way you look at me, baby, I don't know if we even gonna make it to the party. Yeah, we got a whole lot of moonlight left. Already having the time of our lives. Yeah, we're just getting started tonight. Girl, you already got the window down, and you got your seat laid back. Ain't even made it halfway to town, and you're already talking about a six-pack. Already got your shoes off, and you're talking about slipping off. No, we ain't even found your friends, and you already wanna get lost. We ain't even turned up the radio. Ain't been 2 miles down the road. The way you look at me, baby, I don't know if we even gonna make it to the party. Yeah, we got a whole lot of moonlight left. Already having the time of our lives. We're just getting started tonight. Ain't had a drink and I'm tore up. Ain't even had a taste of your love. Girl, the crazy thing is, we're just getting warmed up. We ain't even turned up the radio. Ain't been 2 miles down the road. The way you look at me, baby, I don't know if we even gonna make it to the party. Yeah, we got a whole lot of moonlight left. Already having the time of our lives. We're just getting started tonight. We're just getting started tonight.
Yeah, you got every guy in here spinning around, spilling their beer. I bet you came out to have a good time. So what you say we leave your friends with mine? Yeah, they'll be alright. I just wanna see you shine. Girl, you tearing that dance floor up. Let me see you do it in the bed of my truck. You sure know how to shake it all right. Let me see you do it in the Tennessee moonlight. Whoa, baby, let's go down a little road nobody else knows. Just me and you parked on the edge of the world. That's how I wanna see you, girl. Yeah, let me see you, girl. What you think about taking
adjourn?
Ladies and gentlemen, we are returning from closed session to open session. In recognition of the serious important nature of our efforts here, we will join in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Please rise.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now for those who wish to prepare for the meeting, we will have a moment of silence. This is a public meeting of the Board of Education. Prior to this meeting, notice was given to the public last Friday by posting the agenda at each district school, the district office, and the city library. The agenda was also posted on the district website. A copy of the agenda was forwarded to the Journal-Sentinel, the Waukesha Freeman, and the New Berlin Now, all of which have filed requests for all public notices. As we have no one here for privilege of the floor, I'm assuming no one has given us a slip to do so. Next item on the agenda is the President's message. And I certainly didn't prepare one, but I guess I'll just, yesterday was September 11th, and I know in conversations that I've had with other board members, colleagues at work, it's a day that all of us will have a hard time forgetting, and we never should. I think it's one of the things that we as a school district need to really focus on is trying to make sure that the students coming in the next years don't have the opportunity to never learn what happened on that day and how it changed everyone's life forever. So I guess I challenge our administration and us as a board to make sure that that doesn't happen. Next item on the agenda is the administrative team report.
Yes, so during the board's work session, the secondary admin team presented to the board updates on our college and career readiness initiatives, which ties into two of your regular agenda items, letter A, which is approval of the E4E report, and then letter B, which is approving a resolution endorsing the AASAs, which is my national level association for their Redefining Ready campaign. So what Laura will be doing is providing a synopsis of what was presented to the board earlier in their work session to kind of put some context as it relates to the two things you're looking to approve in the regular agenda.
I'm going to just ask one thing too, and I don't want to have you abbreviate it more than necessary, but I know that one of the things that we talked about in our work session was how are we going to communicate this to families? So I don't want it to be too much repetition for them. So if we can just kind of give them a tease as to why they should be at those meetings.
At the meetings. Sure, I can do that. Essentially, what we presented to you earlier was an update on college and career readiness and why it is important. And I think people at home would have these slides available to them. I know you've already seen them, so I'm going to go real quickly. This is the case statement that we started with, and I think it's important that we note that the reason why college and career readiness is important and academic and career planning is important is because we want to ensure the completion of a post-secondary credential. And so right now, the state of Wisconsin does not have the rate of completion that we would want. And we would love to be able to believe that that doesn't apply to New Berlin, but it also applies to New Berlin as well. So with the work that we're doing in college and career readiness, as well as with academic and career planning, our goal is to make sure that every student is an informed consumer of post-secondary education and training with a goal of completion of a credential, not just admission, but completion. And so all of the work that we've done is to ensure that they know how to prepare for the jobs that will provide a life-sustaining wage. The student experience includes rigorous academics. That's something we see every day. We've added in personalized goal setting, planning, and mentorship, embedded career and technical education, the ability to show what you know through experiential learning, and also a much stronger sense of post-secondary alignment. If students and their parents engage in academic and career planning, they will experience this. If they do not, they won't even know it's here, and that's the problem. So we want to make sure that they engage, they understand why each of these things are important, and why they need to find out the information that they need to be able to help their students through academic and career planning. So this is just a simple graphic of all of the things that have been going on to increase the opportunities available to students through new courses, through experiential learning, through work-based learning, through credentialing. All of those new opportunities are part of college and career readiness. It's part of creating a really, really solid experience for our students. And so one of the things that I would say is make sure you read the annual report. For every parent who hasn't read the annual report, it is important because it might identify those things that you didn't even know were going on in the district. In addition to that, we talk about academic and career planning quite a bit here. It may or may not be well understood by all parents. Academic and career planning involves setting and reaching academic, social, personal, and career goals. It's part of a life skill development that will serve students well after they leave their parents' houses and after they leave New Berlin School District. So at the end of the day, it's all about relevance. So academic and career planning in the school district is supposed to be student-driven. And that means it can't all happen at school. So the reason why parents should care is because we really want to make sure that students are taking ownership of their education, they're asking for help where they need it, they're asking for help from their parents in terms of guiding them through some of the academic and career planning lessons that are made available to them, and that we're all part of supporting life-ready skills, goal setting, and action planning. So the process, this is all available to parents. It basically outlines every single thing their students are learning grade level by grade level, but it's happening in their advisory period, and if parents aren't aware that that's happening, we've also provided information in that guide on what they should expect to see and when they should expect to see it. So if parents aren't looking at that guide, they may not be aware of that as well. So that's why we put that up. In addition to that, they are building a portfolio that will serve them well from grade 6 through grade 12. By the time they graduate, they will have a completed academic and career planning portfolio that can transition with them to post-secondary if they go to a school that supports academic and career planning, or they can use that to use as a basis for their college essay, as a basis for a future employment resume or interview or anything else. So we also have work going on at the elementary schools. We are always looking for parent support for all of these programs. It takes a lot of volunteers. Jump Into Your Future Day, BizTown, and also some of the supports that we provide in our social studies curriculum. So we would really strongly recommend that parents pay attention and also get involved with their school's activities as they see those come up. So this year, our focus was about really diving deep in professional development with our staff around academic and career planning, and so that's been the focus of the information I gave you, or our team gave you, during the work session. And so one of the things we want to do is continue to measure our progress, and so you've seen that. The report, the end-of-year report, has been available in the board packet as well, to really go and dive deep into the data that we have in terms of our impact this year. In terms of the pilot administration, this just basically provides a construct for the pilot districts and how we learned from one another over the past year. So we weren't doing it in a silo. Most importantly, these are 9 SMART goals. Some districts, had 1 or 2 or 3, and we really wanted to make sure that we took everything we learned over the last 2 or 3 years and took it to the next level. So we had a number of things that we had already learned over the last couple of years that we wanted to make sure that we improved on. So you'll see that our SMART goals are pretty extensive. It was a pretty big, heavy lift this year to be able to support all of them. In the end, we know that academic career planning is valued. We know that students are finding the greatest value out of the process that we put in place. We're continuing to work with staff to make sure that they feel comfortable delivering the lessons through advisory and can help students in their classes. And then we really want to make sure that parents are actively engaged in the process, and we need to hear from them to know how to do that. In the end, the pilot objectives, we learned a lot. I guess that's the best way to summarize it. We learned from other people in other cohorts. They learned from us. We informed the work that the state's going to be doing just statewide now into this next school year, so that every district has a chance to learn from those that were part of the pilot. So that really was the main reason why we wanted to be part of that. As it pertains to education for employment, this is legislation. However, it is really no different than anything else that we don't already do in the district. And so as part of today's preparation, we supplied you with a document that summarizes everything that we currently are doing in alignment with this legislation, as well as what we hope to continue to improve on into the new year. The CCR initiative that we've already discussed created relevance for the legislation. Nothing that we're doing is specifically because of the legislation. It is completely student-focused. It's in the best interest of students. This legislation just provides some structure to the different constructs and supports that each district is required to provide. So going forward, what we really just need to do is ensure that we're in compliance on an annual basis, that we post that plan to the website, which we hope to do with your support, include in the annual notices to parents and community members, and then really just ensure that we continue to take a look at the legislation and make sure that we stay in compliance just like we do any other form of legislation. And then lastly, I wanted to just bring up redefining ready. As you know, the district has looked at many different measures for trying to determine whether or not students are ready to go on to post-secondary pursuits. Unfortunately, the state of Wisconsin's measure is primarily the ACT. In the School District of New Berlin, we want to broaden that out so that we can provide a larger group of students with confidence in their post-secondary plans. And so the Redefining Ready campaign provides structure and supports to start really expanding how we take a look at what ready really looks like, so that it really is representative of the uniqueness of each of the students in the district. Any questions?
No, I just want to thank you. That fit, I think, perfect into that. That, like, give them that tease that makes them want to actually come when we schedule and get these meetings held. I know it's one of the things that we talked about in our work session is, one, getting that parent, teacher, and student buy-in. And I know that one of our tasks is going to be to try to communicate that in a way that we reach those that didn't come here tonight, because this is a very crowded room that came to.
Yeah, one of the things I can say is we have an actual monthly update in every parent newsletter. It's called the ACP Spotlight. And every one of those entries has been very purposefully designed to follow what the kids are learning in their classes. And it provides a link to all of the resources that would help a parent better understand. So we have that for parents. We started this last year, and we have it in every staff newsletter. And there's a scope and sequence to every one of those. So we'll be doing a repeat on those again this year and continue to improve them. But every month, there's an opportunity for them to really dive in a little deeper into academic improvement.
I think what I'm hearing is you're challenging the parents in the community to go and take a look and learn.
Yes. We really want them to be involved. Since
And-
they're such an important part of the process.
And we have some great opportunities for parents if they want to come and speak at social studies classes, take part of Career Day, Junior, what's the one at BizTown? Jeff, were you at BizTown last year? Oh, Nate. I was there. I know your wife was. If any of you get a chance, you really, whether you've got a fifth grader or not, find a way to get down there.
And even the industry tours, I know some of those fill, and we want to try to leave those spots for kids, but in the event that there's openings, we've always said that if parents wanted to come along, they're welcome to come along on those as well.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you.
One quick note that kind of correlates to that, and I'm going to just mention it now because I think it fits in so well. We have our Partners in Education Breakfast, which is teeing off of Joe, mine, and others' work with Moving New Berlin Forward, which you are, I'm going to say, the fulcrum for that whole thing. It wouldn't function without you. So if you're available, board and community, Wednesday, November 2nd, from 7 to 9. Please come if you can find a way. We ask nothing of you other than to listen to what we're doing, try to be involved in some way. I know we've gotten some great business partnerships where our students have had apprenticeship opportunities, internship opportunities, job placement, job shadowing, and all of that is thanks to you.
So that was our administrative team update, and now I would like to introduce you to Nirali Patel, who is your new school board representative from New Berlin West. She will be giving kind of a brief update to tell you about who she is, as well as an update of some of the things that are happening at West.
Okay, all right. Okay, so I'd like to formally introduce myself. I'm Nirali Patel. I am a junior at New Berlin West High School. And some reasons as to why I decided to kind of go for this position. I really like to take the responsibility to represent my peers' opinions and just have that ability to go out and voice their opinions. Because as a child, I know I was pretty shy, So taking that into account, I really enjoy being able to share what other people are thinking as well. As far as extracurriculars go, I am a part of the forensics team. I am a member of the National Honor Society. As of this year, I am also the secretary for Spanish Honor Society. I participate on the math team. I am also part of the environmental club, and starting this year, I also started playing tennis. And so as far as the future goes, I plan on going on to a four-year university with probably going and pursuing a career in either medicine or healthcare. And kind of starting off with the school year, I know it's kind of early to give too many updates, but there are so many changes that have been going around the building. And personally, I believe that these changes are very positive and they're very reasonable for the students and for the staff. However, the students and the staff are still trying to cope with them and trying to find new ways to kind of conquer those challenges that are coming. But some things that I wanted to touch on was the new ID scanners that have been implemented that are used for taking digital attendance for the students. Also with the new grading system that's completely new for both staff and students. Also the retake policy that is also new this year. And so starting off with the digital attendance taking, the ID scanners, I believe will be starting tomorrow actually, during flex time. And so basically we will have all of our IDs and the teachers will scan them as we go in for the flex session. And I know some students, some of my peers think that, this is sort of a challenge for them to do because last year I know a lot of the students were so used to being able to kind of roam around, going from one class to another. However, with the scanning of the IDs, the students have to stay in one spot. But I definitely think that as time goes on, as we go into the school year, the students will be able to find new ways to kind of work around them, see what their teachers are comfortable with, find a way to have this fit into their schedule. And also, I believe that it's very beneficial because this way the school is able to track down where every single student is, and where every student is, and this kind of ensures that every student is going where they're supposed to be going in a timely manner. And also, it's very motivating for the students because I don't know if you guys know, but we also had the flex sign-up pages, so we have to schedule where we want to go for flex time. And so that's very encouraging because that way the students are able to form a study group, have it visually in front of them. They're more motivated to go to that classroom. Once they're in that classroom, they're not able to leave. So that's very, encouraging for the students to actually get some work done. Whereas last year, people were roaming around in the hallways, sitting, in the cafeteria, like it wasn't very productive for the students. So I definitely think that overall, having, you know, the flex time scheduling and the digital attendance taking is very organized, and it's very beneficial for both staff and students. And so on to the new grading system. I personally, along with many of my other peers, we don't understand it 100% because, you know, we haven't taken too many tests or too many assessments yet, but definitely as we go into the school year, I'm sure we will all be able to cope with it. And so some benefits that we've seen is that, especially with the 1, 2, 3s, and 4s, this way the students are able to see exactly the score they're trying to go for. I know that when I took my first AP Chem quiz last week, my teacher had a rubric on the quiz saying if you want a 4, you have to get this amount of questions right. If you want a 3, you have to get these many questions right. And I think that's very useful for students to kind of, you know, test them and set a goal for themselves in their mind, saying that if I want to get a 4 on this, I have to be able to get a certain number of questions right on this quiz. And that's especially helpful for especially advanced classes like AP classes and CAP courses and WCTC courses, because the 1, 2, 3s, and 4s, they set a specific goal, and it kind of ensures that if you are meeting this criteria, you will have the ability to pass the AP exam at the end of the year. And in addition to that, with the retake policy, this year, I know last year it was sort of like all over the place according to the teacher. You just had to get everything done before the quarter ended. And that was extremely difficult for both the students and the staff, because last year for the students, it was more of, if I want to get an A in this class, if I want to get an A or a B in this class, by the end of the quarter, I have to get A's and B's on all of my things. And so what students would generally do is they would go in maybe a week or a few days even before the quarter ended and redo all of their quizzes. And that way they aren't even processing the information that they're supposed to be learning. However, with this new retake policy, they have to tell the teacher within 3 days that they want to retake something. And they have to schedule a time, maybe a few days after, maybe a week after. That way the students are able to go in a week after while the concepts are still fresh in their brain and retake it, so that those concepts can be built upon throughout the chapter, throughout the quarter, throughout the semester, throughout the entire school year. This way they're not just throwing stuff in their brain and forgetting it right after they take the quiz or the test. In addition to that, going off of the flex time, I know that personally I am involved, as I said before, with Spanish Honor Society. So we have introduced Spanish tutoring for students, students in Spanish 1, 2, 3, 4. And so basically all of the higher level, if you will, Spanish students will be tutoring all of the Spanish 1, 2s, and 3s. And this not only provides a chance for the students that are struggling in Spanish to get some help from their peers, but it also helps the students that are in Spanish 5 and Spanish AP that are really developing that skill to go out and teach other people, teach the students, have that experience, and having like a real life example in being able to use those Spanish skills in real life. And not only that, but I know that National Honor Society and math team are also going to be starting up with the flex time tutoring. And this not only lets the members get some service hours, but again, I think the main goal with the flex tutoring is to have the peers sort of have this interdependence on each other, so that if a student needs help, another student is there to help them. But the student that's helping them is also gaining something from it. The student that's helping is developing that skill as they're teaching it to the person as well. And in addition to the Spanish tutoring, I know that I have been put responsible for introducing the idea of having voluntary like Spanish tutoring at elementary schools. So we decided to start out at Poplar Creek. And this isn't for sure yet, but this is definitely a possibility. This is especially for 4th through 6th graders that are planning on taking Spanish in middle school. And it allows the elementary students to have a head start in Spanish learning, and it allows the high school students to develop their Spanish and interpersonal skills. And as far as last week goes, we had the class meetings kind of explaining all of these new changes that have been happening, and I think the class meetings really kind of urged the students to, you know, not only did it address the new changes that have been going around the building, but it also urged the students to kind of, you know, participate in like extracurriculars, because I believe and I feel like the school also believes that, you know, there should be a healthy balance between academics and extracurriculars. And so as far as events go, there hasn't been much going on, but especially with the homecoming week, I know that there's a lot of spirit stuff that's been going on. And so we usually have our homecoming spirit week. So we've got like fun days, you know, USA, dressing up in red, white, and blue, you know, blast from the past, you know, blue and gold day, stuff like that. It's just kind of raising up that school spirit. And also we've got the pep rally at school during the school time. This really also promotes the extracurriculars that we have going on in our school as well. In addition to that, we have the annual Powder Puff game, the homecoming bonfire, and of course the homecoming game and the homecoming dance as well. This all display the Viking spirit and the school spirit. I feel like it's a very strong tradition at our school. In addition to that, we also had open house last week on September 7th, and this just allowed the students and the teachers and the parents to kind of introduce themselves to their teachers, kind of get to know what their children are doing at school. In addition to that, we also have the WEF College Fair, and at this college fair, there are over 100 colleges that come and represent themselves, and students that are confused about where they want to go or what they want to do after high school, it's very beneficial for them to go there because they're able to talk to different colleges and see what they're offering. And in addition to that, I know that there's also a representative from Marquette University that is going to come and talk about the FAFSA scholarship. And not only scholarships, it's also grants and also not only financial aid. So there's financial aid, scholarships, and grants. So there's not a certain qualification the student needs to have. The students can also apply for the grants and scholarships. And I said that the representative is from Marquette University, but it's not necessary that the students be enrolled, or like it's not necessary that the students have to go to Marquette University. It's just that he's representing Marquette University, and he's just sort of generally speaking about the grants and scholarships that they offer. And lastly, we've also got the Thespian Society. They're having 2 plays that they're working on in the fall. So they've got the dinner party and the Greek play. And so we also have the West Tap Prologue meeting on September 14th. And this just kind of introduces the students to the Thespian Society. And I think the Thespian Society is a really big factor in the West culture. And it just allows the students to kind of get a feel for it with the introduction to the meeting. And so if you guys have any questions or comments or anything of that sort, feel free to email me at any time if you guys, have any suggestions. Other than that, if you guys have any questions right now. All right. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Good job. Yeah.
Yes, Mr. President, in regards to the appointment of
Okay, I'm going to take that one. The SDNB Education for Employment, or as some of us call it, E4E, plan was first approved by the Board of Education in 2010. It was prepared in collaboration with CISA 1, Education for Employment Consortium. This written plan was a legislative requirement with an expectation by the state that it would be implemented with fidelity and actively managed. It represents many points of light, but was not embedded into the strategic plans of the district at that time. Education for Employment legislation was later revised in December of 2015 and includes academic and career planning. The Board of Education is required to approve an Education for Employment plan in the 2017-2018 school year. This legislation supports the shared objectives for students to graduate high school as informed consumers of post-secondary education, training, and possesses knowledge, skills, and dispositions for success following graduation. We have prepared an Education for Employment plan for your review and approval. This work has already been embedded into the work of the district and therefore does not represent anything new. A draft has been informally reviewed by the DPI to ensure that it meets all legislative requirements and expectations. We believe that our efforts can act as a model for other districts as they begin the process of developing their E4E plans. We recommend approval of the plan as presented.
Do I have a motion so we can have any discussion?
Mr. President, I move that we approve the Education for Employment PI 26 plan.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Oh, Susan?
Well, I was just going to say, it's exciting to be leading the way, so thank you for everything that you guys have done to get us to this point. So enthusiastically support it.
You are very welcome, and it definitely has been an extremely big group effort and a lot of people behind the scenes.
Yeah, thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Item yes, item B, but bear with me. Item B, discussion with possible approval of AASA Redefining Ready campaign endorsement and accompanying resolution.
AASA, also known as the School Superintendents Association, has launched a national campaign called Redefining Ready to introduce research-based multiple measurement college and career readiness indicators to more appropriately assess a student's ability to survive and thrive in the future. The AASA Redefining Ready campaign seeks to engage districts across the country in a movement to encourage a broader view of college and career readiness measures. Our efforts to date and those currently underway are in alignment with these shared objectives. And while our measures may not be exactly the same, engagement in the campaign provides needed structure and supports to assist in our implementation. We recommend approval of the attached resolution as presented to show our support for engaging in this campaign.
Well, we would recommend approval of the resolution. I don't know if we necessarily need to read it. We'll definitely be sure to post it along with the minutes as well as in other ways. So we would ask you to approve the resolution as has been presented to the board.
Okay. And I guess just as a note, I already we've all seen this resolution and we have all signed it already. So this is a formality, but do I have a motion?
Mr. President, I move that we approve the AASA Redefining Ready campaign endorsement.
I have a motion and a second by Susan.
Second?
Do we have a motion and a second? Yes, motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? This motion passes
And
unanimously.
again, just for the record, to clarify that the motion was to approve the Redefining Ready campaign endorsement and accompanying resolution. Was for the record, is that accurate?
Yes.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is discussion with possible approval of master agreement for Kronos timekeeping and leave entry system, subject to legal review.
Yeah, really, this is something that we've been working on, Roger's been working on, to basically update our processes in the business office. We're seeking your approval to enter into this master agreement with Kronos for Kronos time and leave entry system, and it already has kind of passed the test through our legal review, so we're actually asking to approve it as presented.
Do I have a motion?
Mr. President, I move to approve the master agreement for Kronos time and leave entry systems subject to legal review.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Kurth, second by Mr. Nickerson. Any discussion?
I just have a quick question. So what is the timing for the actual implementation? Is that known yet?
They tell us it'll be about 90 to 120 day implementation. So we're going to be starting with the buildings and grounds. They've got the most complicated, but they're also the most motivated. So we're going to start there and roll from that.
Okay, so probably early next year, end of
Yes.
year. Okay, perfect, thanks.
And I'm going to further clarify, it allows us to basically move into more, what more private sector solutions have been doing for quite a while, as well as basically replacing outdated, systems that we have in place at this time. So again, we recommend approval as presented.
Okay. I do have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Next item on the agenda is action items from closed session.
Yes, Mr. President, I move to approve the employment services report as presented.
Second. I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Next item on the agenda is future meetings and dates. Our monthly board meetings, or our bi-monthly, our twice-a-month meetings are held here in the New Berlin West Commons, unless otherwise noted. Monday, September 26th, Monday, October 10th, and Monday, October 24th. And as I previously mentioned, we will be having or hosting a Partners in Education breakfast on Wednesday, November 2nd, between 7 and 9 a.m. That will also be here in the West Commons. So looking forward to that. We'll see if we can't really fill this room. Our first year, what do we have? Maybe 35, 40 people here. Last year, this room was pretty full. Hopefully this year we're standing room only.
Oh, that's good. I like it.
So, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I have a motion by Mrs. Manley, second by Mr. Kurth. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes unanimously. This meeting is adjourned. Oh, all opposed? Hearing none.